Okay, so good morning, everyone. So let's start our today's lecture. Okay, so in the last lecture, we have started or we have covered all the topics that are related to your method overriding and your super keyword. So till now, as you all are already aware that we are focusing upon the topic that is inheritance. Okay, so inheritance is one of the feature of object-oriented programming language. And as you already know that Java is also an object-oriented programming language. So that is why Java also supports the functionality of inheritance. Inheritance means the child class will acquire the properties of your parent class. And the advantage of this inheritance is that your reusability means again and again you don't need to write the entire code. Now in the last class we have discussed about method overriding and super keyword. So method overriding is like whenever you are going to create a method name that is similar to your parent class method name. Okay, so in that scenario you are not going to get any error. But whenever you want to create an object of child class, so always remember you are able to access your child class only. Okay, child class method only, not your parent class. Similarly, we have also discussed about super keyword, that a super keyword is a keyword through which basically you cannot use super keyword anywhere. So it is mandatory for you to have an inheritance. Okay. So in Java, if you want to apply the functionality of inheritance, for this we have a keyword known as extends, right? So super keyword, through this keyword we are able to access the variable of our immediate parent class. So suppose if there is a confliction between parent class, suppose I have created a class int a is equals to 10, right? This is an instance variable. Suppose this is my class parent. And similarly, I have created a class child. And here I'm having what? int a is equals to 100. So till now, you already know that if I'm going to suppose I'm having a class ABC, and inside my public static void main string args, I'm not writing the entire syntax, right? If I'm going to create an object of child class, that is child c is equals to new child, and if I am going to access c dot a, so you already know that I will get the output as what your 100, right? But right now what I want to access the what we call it as the your parent class value. Okay, I want to access this parent class. So how can I access this thing? So for this there is a keyword known as your super keyword. So in the last class we have discussed about that using super keyword, if we want to access your parent class value, okay, and there is a confliction between the name of your child class and your parent class variable, so how can you access that? With the help of your super keyword. So all these things we have discussed about in our last lecture. Now in our today's lecture, what we are going to do, we are going to discuss about types of inheritance in Java. So in Java, there are 4 types of inheritance. First one is your single type inheritance. Second one is your multi-level. Third one is your hierarchical, and fourth one is your hybrid. Okay. So all these types of inheritance we are going to discuss in our today's lecture. So it should be noted, and it is a very important note with respect to your Java programming language, is that in Java programming language, multiple and hybrid inheritance. I will tell you the reason, but you should know, okay, because in interview again, this question is very popular. You can call it. If you are saying that, okay, sir, I am having a very good command in Java. Okay, so in interview, in most of the time, I'm 100% sure that in 80 or 90% of the time, interviewer will ask you, okay, can you tell me about whether your multiple and hybrid inheritance is supported in your Java or not? So you will say that with respect to your classes, okay, with respect to classes, it is not supported in Java, but it is supported through interfaces only. So don't get confused like what do you mean by interface. So interface is also a topic which we are going to cover later on. Okay, but if somebody is going to ask you about whether with respect to class, if somebody is going to ask you about whether your inheritance is supported in your Java or not, then you will directly say that no, it is not supported in Java. So we will find out that what is the reason why it is not supported in Java. You can directly we will discuss about that part also, right? So let's start now. Now, after that, we will see that what are the different types of inheritance in Java. So you can see that I have mentioned like single level inheritance. Single level inheritance or single inheritance is that when you have a parent class and a child class, right? So this is just a single level. Single level, like I have given you one example, like you have one parent, one child, right? So this is known as what we call it as your single inheritance. Always remember. So throughout our examples, most of the or 90% of the examples which we have solved so far are basically based on your single level inheritance. And even in your labs also, in most of the problems, you will see that we will give you the problems totally based on your single level inheritance. Now, there is a concept known as your multi-level inheritance, and by the name, you can directly suggest that, okay, what do you mean by multi-level inheritance? Where you have multiple levels. Like you can call it as like, this is my grandparent, right? This is grandparent, and then you have parent, and then you have child, right? So it means whenever you are having more than one level, then you can call it as like it comes under the category of your multi-level inheritance, right? Now the third type of inheritance is your hierarchical. Hierarchical is a kind of a tree-like structure. So always remember, being a computer engineer, okay, so in reality you already know that if we are going to ask you about, okay, what is a root of a tree, so how our tree is like, I'm not very good with the drawing, then you will say that, okay, this is a root of a tree, right? And these are the branches and all those things. Always remember, being a computer science engineer, you will understand, and or in your second year, third year, whatever the subject you are going to cover, you will find out that for being a computer science engineer, your tree will also always start from the top. It always starts from the top, right? So here this class A is, we can call it as your root node. See, our root will start from the top. That is being for a computer science engineer, our tree is always in the form of inverted form. Okay, always in the inverted form. So that is why this is the root node, and here you can see that this is hierarchical, means one parent is going to be inherited by multiple child, right? Like I have given you one example of your bank, right? So bank, when you have SBI, SBI, ICICI, right? So all these banks are, suppose, inheriting this bank class. So it means what kind of inheritance it is? It is hierarchical, right? So it is hierarchical. Now what I told you earlier in the first slide of types of inheritance, your multiple inheritance and your hybrid inheritance is not supported in Java with respect to class. Always remember, with respect to class, it is not supported in Java. But first of all, we should understand, what do you mean by multiple inheritance? Multiple inheritance means that for a child class, you will have a multiple parents. Means a child class is acquiring the property of multiple inheritance. So this is known as what we call it as your multiple inheritance. And what do you mean by hybrid inheritance? Hybrid inheritance, where you can say that it is a hybrid of your hierarchical and your multiple inheritance. See, this part is your hierarchical and this part is what your multiple. So when you have some type of inheritance where you are performing both hierarchical as well as multiple inheritance, then you will call it as that it is a hybrid inheritance, right? So till now, five types of inheritance we have covered so far. First one is your single inheritance, where you have a parent class and you have a child class. That is a simple inheritance, right? Multi-level inheritance means whenever you have a different levels of inheritance, more than one level of inheritance, then you will call it as your multiple level inheritance. Hierarchical, whenever for a parent there are multiple childs, your hierarchical inheritance. For multiple inheritance means multiple parents, single child, right? Like this. So let's go for one by one. First, take the first example of single inheritance. Now in this example, what I have done, I have created a class named as your animal. So in this animal class, I have one method, and you can directly see that what kind of method this is. This is instance method. Always try to find out, okay, whenever you will see any code now, just try to find out, okay, this code contains what? Only one method. What kind of method is this? What is the return type of this method, right? All these things. Now here we are just displaying one message, that is your eating. Eating, we are displaying this message. Now I have created one more class, and this class is inheriting which class? My animal class, right? So this is, so here what I have done, I have created a animal class, right? And this class, generally your inheritance always represented by a is a relationship, okay? So in future also, if you are working in any project and you got some question, like in any coding competition platform, like there is a relationship between two class, then always try to find out, okay, is a means inheritance, you are performing inheritance, right? So it means that there is a class named as dog. So dog is doing what? Dog is inheriting the feature of your animal class. Now if I'm going to ask you about, okay, how many methods are there in your dog class? So you will say that there are two methods. First one is your bark method, and second one is your eat method, right? What about animal? How many methods are there? Only one method, that is eat method, because it is inheriting this your animal class. So that is why automatically my dog class will also contain this eat method too, right? Now here I have created a different class, that is known as your test inheritance. And in this class, what I am doing, I am creating an object of my this child class. And if I'm going to execute these two things, so you already know the output. So the output which I will get over there is, your first one is your barking, second one is your eating. So always remember, I will not get any error. Don't say that, okay, sir, we don't have this thing. What we have, we don't have your barking right now. No, don't get confused. Okay, so in this class, we have both the thing, that is your eating as well as what you're barking, because we are inheriting this class. So when a class inherit another class, it is known as single inheritance. In the example given below, dog class inherits the animal class, so there is a single inheritance. So single class we have and single child we have. So in that scenario, if you will find out, and if an exam, if will give you, okay, this is the scenario, can you tell us about that? What type of inheritance is this? So you will say that, okay, sir, this is a single inheritance. Okay, because it's quite simple. You have a single class, you have a single child, right? And this is an example of what your single inheritance. Now, second types of inheritance is your multi-level inheritance. See, the example is same, but here in this case, what I have done, I have created an animal class. This is what we have already created. Now I have created one dog class, which is inheriting my animal class. So it means, first of all, I have created animal class. Then my dog class is inheriting which class? My animal class. Now again, I have created one more class which is inheriting which class? This dog class. So that is why, see, what kind of inheritance is this? This is baby dog. This is known as your multi-level inheritance, right? So how many methods are there? Here we have only eat method. How many methods are there inside my dog class? Two methods, eat and your bark. How many methods are there? Please don't get confused that you will have only weep method and your bark method. You will have eat method too. Always remember, right? So whenever you are going to create this class, so automatically you will get all these methods, because these methods you are getting directly now from this class dog, and dog is also having eat and bark. So automatically you're, so here you can see that how many levels, there are 2 levels. So that is why whenever you are having more than one level, so this is my one level and this is my one level. So 1 plus 1 is what, 2, right? So here I am having 2 levels. So whenever you are having more than one level, then you will call it as what you is known as multi-level inheritance. So it is there, okay? So our Java programming language supports multi-level inheritance, right? So when there is a chain of inheritance, so see, you can see that it is a kind of a chain. So animal, dog, baby dog, right? And again, if you want to create one more class, you can create one more class, no issue, right? So here this is known as what we call it as your multi-level inheritance. So you will get the output, as I told you that it can have these 3 methods. So that is why if you are going to create an object of your baby dog, so you will be able to access all these 3 methods, right? Now the next one is your hierarchical inheritance. So in the case of your hierarchical inheritance, what is happening over there, that as I told you, it is a kind of a tree-like structure. And being a computer science engineer, in every book and whatever the concept you are going to learn in your from any subject, like in your algorithm, data structure, you will see that our tree will start from the top and it will go into the bottom, right? Like this. So here what I have done, I have created a class animal, right? And my dog is inheriting animal class. And you can see this. See, cat is inheriting which class? My animal class. Like this. So I am having 2 classes, 3 classes overall, out of which 2 classes are inheriting this class. So you can see that it is a kind of a tree-like structure. And don't get confused again, tree is not like this. So always understand that in computer science, whatever the subject you are going to cover, our tree will start from top, means top to bottom, right? Now I have created a class. Which class? Of cat class. See, I have created this cat class. Now let's see how many methods are there. So in animal class, I will have only one method, eat method. In this my dog class, how many methods will be there? Eat method as well as bark method. What about cat class? In cat class, I will have eat method and your meow method. Okay. So these methods will be there. Always remember, these 2 classes are independent to each other. They are not at all related to each other. Always remember this point. Okay. Now if I'm going to create an object of my cat class, then what will happen if I'm going to create an object of cat class? So I can access only 2 methods. That is what your eat and meow. So that is why I can access eat as well as your meow. So I will get the output. But always remember, if I'm going to write, see, this is in comment, but still I'm telling you, if I'm going to access c.bark, then what will happen? I will get a compile time error. Why I will get a compile time error? Because no method found. Because in cat you don't have bark method, because cat is inheriting only your animal class, not your dog class. So how can we have an access of bark method, right? So that is why you can access only your parent class method, not your sibling method, right? These are what your siblings. Dog and cat are siblings over here for this example, right? And this is your parent. So you can access only your parent class property, not your siblings property, right? So when 2 or more classes inherits a single class, right? So in that scenario, it is known as, and we call it as what, your hierarchical inheritance, right? Now, so here you will get the output. You can see over there, for this thing you will get meowing, and for this you will get eating, right? Now Now we are going to discuss about multiple inheritance, and it is very important in your Java programming language. So when a class extends multiple classes known as multiple inheritance. So don't get confused. What I mean to say is that whenever this class, your child class, this is my child class. This is my what? Parent class. Parent A and your parent B. Whenever a child class is inheriting multiple parent class, then it is known as what we call it as your multiple inheritance. So always remember, in Java, it is not allowed in Java through extends. Okay. So if somebody is going to ask you like using extends keyword, so using extends, what does it mean? That you are performing inheritance. So inheritance, for inheritance, we always use this keyword that is known as your extends. Okay, right? So if you are going to basically perform this, your inheritance, multiple inheritance in your Java programming language, so it is not supported. It is not at all possible. So we are going to discuss about it. Okay, why it is not supported? Because whenever you are getting some sort of question, okay, it is not supported in Java. Don't try to just remember this point. Okay, it is not supported in Java. So, but the main thing is that you should know the reason too. Why it is not supported in Java? Why multiple inheritance with respect to your extend keyword? Why it is not supported, right, in Java programming language? So let's go for this thing. So why multiple inheritance is not supported in Java? So consider a scenario where A, B, and C are three classes, right? So let's assume we have A, B, and C classes. The C classes inherits A and B classes. So we have a C class which is inheriting what are the classes? A and your B classes, right? Like this. Now, if A and B class have the same method, you can call it from the child object, then there will be ambiguity to call of A and B class. What does it mean? Let's assume we have a class A and we have a class B. Let's assume in class A, we have a method named as your eat. Eat is a method. Right, and in this eat method, I am printing system.out.println eat. Let's assume class B also contain one more method, eat method, and here system.out.print. Here, suppose I'm having eating message. Now let's assume in Java, we are assuming that Java supports multiple inheritance. Now Java supports multiple inheritance. Now in C class, which eat method it should inherit? Let's assume it inherits both eat method, like this eat method and this eat method. Then whenever we are going to create a child class of, or you can say that whenever we are going to create an object of C class, then which eat method it should call? That is the complex thing. That is the complex thing in Java. How our compiler will find out whether to call this eat method or whether to call this eat method. Okay. So in order to reduce the ambiguity, okay, in order to reduce the ambiguity, this is known as ambiguity. You will get an ambiguity error. Okay. So in order to sort out or handle the ambiguity, what they have done, Java team, what they have proposed, that in Java we are not going to allow that that a program should have a multiple inheritance, or our Java program should support your multiple inheritance, right? So just because of this ambiguity issue. So let's take one example so that you will understand easily what I mean to say. And if you are going to write it in your Java programming language, so what error you will get? Okay, so like that. Now in this class, what I have done, I have created a class. In a class, I have a method named as add. right? Like now I have created one more class name as B, and here again you can see I have a method name as. So it is possible, yes, it is possible. So within different class, you can create different same name methods, no issue at all. Why? Because these two classes are independent to each other. Always remember, right? These two classes are not dependent to each other. They are independent to each other. So if they are independent, so they can have same name method. Yes, it's there now. Now, what I'm doing, I am creating a class C. So you already right now, one thing you already know that when we can basically perform inheritance operation only at the time of class declaration, right? After class declaration, you cannot perform inheritance operation. So that is why whenever I am going to declare a class, class C extends A comma B. See what I'm doing? Class C extends A comma B. It means that I have created a class C and this class is inheriting class A and B because I have written A comma B. Right? Let's assume it is supported in Java programming language. Let's assume. Suppose it is there. Okay, we are not getting any error. Now here in this case, what we have done, we have created this thing. What we have basically inside my public static void main, I have created an object of my C class. Now after that, I am calling obj.add. What I am doing? I am calling obj.add. Now, according to our compiler will get confused which add method it should call, whether it should call this method or whether it call it this method, right? So now which method would be invoked? That is the main issue. See, the complexity of your program gets increased just because of your multiple inheritance, right? Because you might get these such kind of scenarios whenever right now, this is a very simple program. So that's why you are able to find out, okay, we have a class having the same methods. But what if you are having your multiple methods and you are having multiple classes for your project, then how you are going to solve that particular issue, right? So that is why in Java, what they have done, because Java team have find out that okay, it might create a lot of confusion. I'm not saying that there is no other solution. Like in Python, they have proposed the solution. Like your Python programming language supports what? Multiple inheritance. But in Java, according to a Java, see, it depends upon different programming language, right? So what Java team has proposed, they have proposed that yeah, even though it's okay, they might have proposed some different mechanism, right, in order to tackle down this situation. But according to them, they feel like okay, it might create a lot of confusion and it is going to create a lot high it is going to create high complexity. Okay, so that is why they have suggested that okay, we are our what it's better, what we can do, it's better we are going to remove this concept of multiple inheritance. It means that at a time, always remember, at a time, we can inherit only one class. We cannot inherit two classes, right? So that is why they have removed this concept from Java programming language. I'm not saying that there are no other solution. Like in Python programming language, they have made them that solution so that you will be able to perform multiple inheritance. But in Java, they have suggested that okay, please try to remove it. We don't want to increase the complexity, right? So that is why in Java, multiple inheritance is not supported. But you should know the reason too, okay? Why they have removed this concept of multiple inheritance with respect to class. Okay, using interfaces it is supported in Java, but with respect to class it is not supported in Java. So that is the mean, because of the complexity, right? Now, so to reduce the complexity, as I told you, why multiple inheritance is not supported in Java, to reduce the complexity, to simplify the your language, because they want to make the language more simplified in a very simplified structure. multiple inheritance is not supported in Java. Always remember, with respect to class, with respect to class, right? With respect to class, because in interview, if they are going to ask you, okay, multiple inheritance is not supported in Java, you will say that with respect to class, yes, multiple inheritance is not supported in Java, but with respect to interfaces, it is supported in Java. So we will cover interface in the next lecture, or not after 4 to 5 lectures, we are going to cover that topic of interface, and we will see that how multiple inheritance is supported with respect to interfaces, right? So since compile time errors are better than runtime errors, so always remember, okay? So whenever you are writing any code now, so always if somebody is going to ask you now what kind of errors are better, compile time error or runtime errors, always understand, try to understand whenever you are working in a real time project now. So always say that, okay, compile time errors are better than runtime errors. See, why it is like that? See, because compile time error you will get during whenever you are developing that code, and runtime error you will get suppose you have launched your application, right? And every user they are using your application. Suppose during runtime, due to some you can say that some logic, you might get your application got some error. Then what will happen? It is going to create it is going to impact on your image, that okay, they have delivered a very bad product. Okay, that is why I always remember that compile time errors are better than your runtime errors. So that is why in Java programming language, whenever you are going to perform now, whenever you are going to perform what your multiple inheritance, so they will give you compile time error. Because it might be possible, some of you might ask me this question, that sir, what if we have two classes, okay, and there are no methods are common among these two classes, then you will directly say that we will not get any error. Suppose I have a class A having eat method, and here I am having one method that is known as what we call it as your suppose bark method, right? So here in this case, you can see over there, I will not get any error according to our concept, because this eat method here, C will have how many methods? Eat method and your bark method, right? So that is why we will not get any error. So why it's not there? Just because of that particular case. Because if you get struck in this case, like eat, then you will get what? Runtime error. And as I told you that runtime errors are more complex in comparison to compile time error. That is why what they have made that it's better to put them inside your compile time error. Okay, and if you are going to perform a multiple inheritance in Java, you will always get your compile time error. So Java renders compile time error if you inherit two or more than two classes, right? So at a time you can inherit only one class, that is this class only. If you are able to access A comma B, you will get an error. And what error you will get? Compile time error, right? So whether you have a same method or different, there will be a compile time error now. So it's not like that, like as I've given you, like what if your parent class are having different method, even then if you are going to perform multiple inheritance, so you will get an error, okay? So because in compiler, they have made some certain rules, and according to that rules, with respect to class, you cannot perform multiple inheritance, right? So that is why, therefore, inheritance is called compile time mechanism, means during compile time we will get an error, right? So see what kind of error we will get. Always remember, even after this lecture, you can try it out by your own, that just create one class, create two class. This C, class C extends A comma B. So if I'm going to execute this program now, I will get an error. Why I will get an error? See, this C class is inheriting two classes A comma B. So what error I will get? I will get an error is this one. This curly braces is expected. Why this curly braces is expected? Because according to our compiler, you can inherit only one class, right? So that is why it is expecting that, okay, after this, just try to write this curly braces. Don't use comma or this or D like this, okay? So that is why you will get an compile time error, right? So don't ever try to, so whenever you are creating any project and suppose your model suggested that, okay, you have to perform multiple inheritance with respect to class. So please don't try it because you will get a compile time error. Okay, like this. Okay, so this is all about your multiple inheritance, types of inheritance, which we have covered. Now, what we are going to do, we are going to solve some of the problems, okay, of your Java programming language. So you can just tell me about the output. So we are so that I will find out the clarity, whether you have a clarity about whether you have understood the entire topic of inheritance or not. And in the next lecture, I am going to start a new topic. Most probably, I am going to start a topic on access modifier, because some of you are getting confused about public, private, protected. What are all these things? Okay, so all these things are what your access modifier. So I don't want to start that topic in this class or in this lecture. So in the next lecture, I'm going to start the topic on access modifier. So you will have a better understanding about your, what we call it as your access modifier, right? So yes, if anyone is having any doubt, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to unmute all. So if anyone is having any doubt till now, he or she can directly ask me. Otherwise, we'll have a session that where you have to just try to solve these problems, right? Yes. Yes. Is there anyone who is having any doubt? Okay, so no doubt. If you don't have any doubt, so let's solve this question. See, just try to find out, because why I am giving you these problems, so that I will understand and you will also find out whether you have understood this entire topic or not, right? So let's take, and now you can unmute your mic too. So if you want, you can unmute your mic, and whatever the doubt, so those who have an access of chat box, they can write their answer in the chat box. If everyone is getting the same answer, no need to again rewrite the same answer. Okay, otherwise, if someone is getting some different answer only, then only try to write it out. Okay, otherwise just find out whether you are getting the right answer or not. Okay, so here we have a question, and in this question I have created a class. In this class, see, this is an instance variable, and this is what we call it as your method, right? And this class is inheriting which method? Your this method, your this class, sorry, ABC class, right? So now you can see over there, and having how many methods? Two methods. It is having. Now we are executing what we are creating an object of this class, and we are executing a dot display. Now tell me what will be the output if we are going to execute this code. So just take your time and just try to find out what output we will get. And just try to see each and everything, right? See, I have used this extends keyword. Extends mean I am inheriting this class. Which class? Your ABC class. Right. So just try to find out and tell me about the answer, whatever the answer you are getting it. So those who have an access of the your chat box, they can directly post their answer in the chat box. Otherwise, if you don't have any access, so what you can do, directly unmute your mic and just tell me your answer, what answer you are getting. Okay. So I got first answer from, yeah. So let's take who posted. So I got Chitransh as well as Harshvardhan. So both of them are giving me the same answer. That's great. So if is there anyone who is basically having some different answer, then only post the answer. Otherwise, we will see. If is there anyone who is getting some different answer, please let me know. Yes, just take your time. I'm not. Don't be in a hurry. Hurry means just find out, okay, whether you will understand the code or not. So see, always remember, whenever you are executing your code now, see, always try to find out our JVM will execute our code. JVM will always directly go through which class. It will directly go in this class, and it will directly find out, okay, it will directly load which class, with the class which is containing public static void main. Then in this class, because this class is inheriting this class, so it will load this class too, right? And based on that, whatever the features of this class we have, it will automatically load inside this class, and then it will perform this whatever the operation you want to perform. So let's check what output we are getting it. Okay, so the answer is subclass salary is equals to 200 and superclass salary is equals to 100. So you already know why we are getting, because we are calling a dot display. So see, we are creating a object of which class? Always remember, we are creating an object of employee class, right? So that is why we are calling this a dot display. So in this a dot display, we are calling this method that is known as your show method. So that is why we got the output subclass salary is equals to, we will get the output as, what is the value of salary over here? 200, right? We will get this output. But in the second line, we are using super keyword. So using super keyword, what I told you, it will go to immediate parent class method. So do we have a parent class method named as show? Yes, we have. If we don't have, then we will get an error. Always remember, right? So it will check and it will find out, yes, we will have a parent class method, and it will directly execute this code. And in this salary, what is the value in the parent class? What is the value of salary? 100. So that is why you will get the value as 100, right? So this is the functionality of what we call it as your super keyword. Okay. Now try to tell me about to find out what will happen if I'm going to execute this code. Okay, I think I have forget one topic in class, that is this keyword. I'm also going to cover one more topic right now, that is your this keyword, just after this example. So that I think in some of the programs, students are generally confused related to what do you mean by this keyword, right? So we are going to discuss about what do you mean by this keyword. First, try to tell me about the answer. The question is quite simple. You can see over there that I have created a class, and here I am creating an object of A. Which class I am creating an object? I am creating an object of this class. Always see, don't get confused. Now I am assigning the value over here, and I am printing obj.display. What output I will get?
Error.
Yeah. So I got one answer, that is compile time error. What about others? Is there anyone who is getting basically a different answer? Yes, anyone? You can post your answer. Please don't hesitate कि अच्छा मेरा गलत आ रहा है, मेरा सही आ रहा है. Here we are not judging. Just find out. Just rectified your thing. Whether your concepts are correct or not. Okay.
The chat
So let's
box is
discuss.
disabled.
Yes.
Chat box is disabled.
No. You can unmute your unmute if your chat. If in your case chat box is disabled, no issue at all. You can directly tell me your answer. Okay. So like I have mentioned, like for those to whom like chat box is disabled, yeah. So you also tell me about the error. That's okay. What about
Sir,
others?
sir, answer is compilation error, I guess.
Okay.
Because like
Yeah. So all of you are giving me the same answer. That is your compilation error. So your answer is correct. So why we are getting an error? See, here everything is fine. You can create an object of this class A. That is okay. Now you are assigning the value A and B on your I and J. So yes, you can perform it. So here 1 and 2 you are assigning, right? It is possible. But whenever you are going to call obj.display, so do we have display method in my A class? No, we don't have, right? And I told you that your inheritance is not a bi-directional, it is a unidirectional. It means your B will inherit the class of A. It's not like that automatically A will also inherit the class of B, right? So your inheritance is a unidirectional thing whenever you are writing in this statement. So that is why whenever you are going to execute this code, you will get a compile time error, right? Okay, so one more thing which I just want to cover because we have some time. So let me show you one thing about the this method. Okay, So what is the functionality of this? So sometimes the students are asking me that, so what is the meaning of this keyword? And what is the functionality of this keyword I am telling you, right? This. So here in this program, what I have done, I have created two instance variables, which are I and j. Now I am creating a constructor. You can call it, why it is a constructor? Because having the same class name, right? And in this, I am basically creating an argumented constructor, which is taking I and j, right? Like this. Now here, what I mean to say, I'm just writing I is equals to I and j is equals to j. Right, just go through this entire program, what I am doing, then I will tell you the functionality of your this keyword. So I have created a class named as main and having two instance variable. Always try to find out these are not local variables, these are instance variables, I and j. Now inside my public static void main, what I am doing, I am creating an object of main class, right? Just write it down here. I am creating the object of obj is equals to new main, and here you can see over there, because we have created an argumented constructor, okay? So and we have only one constructor, so it is mandatory for us to basically call this constructor, otherwise we will get an error, right? So I'm passing 2,3, so write this, and if I'm going to print the value, you know that what we will do inside my print, I am printing the value of I. Okay, I will just write it down obj.I, because I cannot directly access the value of I, right? So that is why I'm writing obj.I. Always remember, instance variable, I cannot directly access. I have to access using the reference variable, right? Like this, and obj.j. Now tell me, can anyone tell me if I'm going to execute this code, what output I will get? Just go through this example. Okay. Yes.
Error.
Error. Where we will get an error?
The assignment part. I equal to I, j equal to j.
So here we will get an error. So why we will get an error over here? Can you tell me? No, we will not get any error, because in I you are assigning the value of I variable, and in I variable you have this value 2, right? Okay. Okay, let's discuss about it. No issue. If you according to you are saying that you will get an error. What about others?
Says 0.
So yeah, 0,0, one answer I got. What about others? Answer I got. First one is 0,0 and second one is your error. Okay. Now, anyone who is getting yes, Chitransh?
Sir, error only, sir.
Okay, you are saying error. So always remember, see, whenever we are going to execute this code, now how our code will get executed. Okay, so you already know that we have two variable, instance variable I and j. Now inside my public static void main, what I am doing, I am calling my constructor, right? And inside this constructor, what I'm doing, I'm calling an argumented constructor which I have created, so that is okay. And here I'm passing 2,3. So automatically what will happen here in for I will have a value that is your 2, and for j I will have a value 3. But always remember, if I am going to write it down again, if I am again going to initialize the value of I and j, then always remember this I and j is what? These are your local variables. These are what your local variables, and these are what your instance variable. So in Java, yes, it is possible that you can have a same variable name for local variable as well as for instance variable. So these are what your local variables. So whenever I am writing now I is equals to I, so what is the value of I is here? Here the value of I is what your 2. automatically this two value I am going to assign in this I. But what is this I? Always try to understand. This I is my local variable I. And what is this variable j? This variable j is my local variable j. Now, so what is the functionality of local variable? That local variable values you cannot access outside your block, whatever the block you have created. So here I have created a block. Sorry, I forget to write this thing. So here what will happen? I forget to write it down. What I forget to here my block is my constructor. Okay, so it means outside this constructor I cannot access the value of I and j. Now but here what I am doing, I am printing the value of obj.i and obj.j. Here I am accessing the value of instance variable. Now can I have I updated the value of instance variable over there? No, I haven't updated the value of instance variable. I have updated or assigned the value on local variable, always remember. But here I am accessing which? Your instance variable. So by default, whenever you know that whenever we are accessing the value of instance variable and you have not assigned any value on your instance variable, then you will get a default value. So that is why what is the default value of your integer? Your 0, 0, right? So if we are going to execute this code, see the output which we are going to get it over there is 0, 0. And don't get confused. So that is why what I am going to do, I am going to write it down over there. See, if I am going to print the value of I and j, see, here what I am doing, I am printing the value of I and j. So here if I am going to print the value of I and j, so I and j, what I told you, these are local variables, right? So that is why you are getting the value 2, 3 over here, right? So this is the thing. So according to our question, whenever you are having some sort of scenarios, okay, I'm just telling you, whenever you are having some sort of scenarios, whenever you are writing some program where you have an instance variable and you have created a constructor, and that particular constructor is also an argumented constructor which is taking your instance variable, and you don't want to change the name of these variables name. Okay, because you don't want कि अच्छा मैं complexities की increase करूं, but you want to assign some values. So in that scenario, there is a keyword known as this keyword. I think some of you have already used in their labs, but this is the functionality of this keyword. See, I have written this keyword, this dot. So what this keyword is telling me, this after writing this dot a, it is telling me that for the present object, I am basically assigning this value of I for my this instance variable, right? For this instance variable. So for using this dot I will be able to access my instance variable. So that is why if I'm going to execute my code right now, so I will get the output that is your 2, 3. So whenever you will face that there is a confliction among your local variable and your instance variable, always remember. So you already know that always local variable will win, but you don't want this thing here, because what I have done, if I'm going to write I over there, so as I told you that whenever there is a fight between local variable, instance variable, as well as local variable and static variable, always your local variable will win that match, right? So here I will treat it, our compiler will treat I as what your local variable only. It will not treat as your instance variable. But we want that our instance variable should win this fight, because we want to assign this value on our instance variable. So that is why what I will do, I'm going to write this keyword over here, and using with the help of this keyword functionality, if I'm going to execute this code, then what will happen? I will get the output, and the output which I will get over there is what? Your 2, 3. Okay, like this. Got the point? Yes. Is there anyone who is having any doubt? He or she can directly ask me. Yes, anyone? Okay, So this is all about these things. So what other things, what other issues, is there anyone who is basically facing any issue related to any concept? You can directly ask me. Yes, anyone is having any doubt? Yes.
No,
किसी
sir.
के पास अगर कोई डाउट है, you can ask me. Yes.
No, sir. Clear, sir.
Clear है ना? So see, we have covered this entire topic of your inheritance, right? So I don't think so कि अगर अभी भी किसी के पास कोई doubt है related, because in this lab, in this means in your second lab you will get the questions related to packages as well as your lectures. So for your inheritance, so packages के हमने already कर ही रखे हैं. What do you mean by package? कैसे हम import करते हैं? What is your static import, right? So all these things, if you are facing any difficulty, so you already know कि मैंने जितने भी lectures हैं I have already uploaded on YouTube. Okay. So those who don't have that link, as I have already provided that link to you. So just try to find out कि अगर किसी को कोई doubt हो रहा है, right? So they can directly tell me. कोई भी अगर किसी को कोई issue है related. So I am uploading all these